actually just cleaning up a few papers on my desk, and I wanted to talk to you about giving your kids an unfair advantage in life. It doesn't matter if you're a homeschooler, a public schooler, a private schooler, if you're a parent. I Something that I wish I had known, and I was just talking to my homeschooling Olympians inside like our group coaching, and I was like, gosh, I wish I knew this 15 years ago. It would have made such a difference in the way that I approached teaching and parenting with my own sons. And they turned out great. They're academically sound, they're amazing men and young men. But I wish I had understood how much of a difference it makes when you focus on the heart and the mindset of your kids over the academics. And this whole heart times mindset plus academics equals exceptional kids. It really does. If you have to choose between a math lesson, 3 hours of homework, or heart and attitude training with your kids, or if you have to choose between studying for a test and really leaning into helping your child understand how they learn, I would recommend leaning into how your kids learn or digging into and underneath any kind of attitudes that they might have. We do our children a disservice when, and I'm just cleaning up my desk as I'm talking to you, but we do our kids a disservice when all we do is focus on the academics, as if the academics are going to really set them apart. But they don't. It's if you think about a staircase, academics learning to read and write and do all the maths and the histories and sciences is equivalent to walking up a staircase. But when you combine that with heart and attitude and mindset, like how you learn, how you remember stuff, when you do those things, it's like you give your kids an elevator that helps them reach the roof way faster than their peers. And it's not a matter of whether or not you should homeschool your kids or whether you should public school your kids. We all do what's best for our children, whatever that means. And don't let anybody ever serve you guilt pie. You do not need to eat it. Okay? You do what's best for your kids. On this channel, we talk about homeschooling. And what that really is like parenting with school supplies, right? And we're leaning into not just training our kids or teaching them academic things, but training them up so that when they're released into the wild, they are amazing human beings. And we do that by focusing on character training, heart and attitude, building stronger relationships and connections. I just heard something that I don't know if it's out or if it got banned or whatever, but there is a Barbie that is connected to the Wi-Fi so that Barbie can have an actual conversation with your child that is playing. So a doll that's connected to the Wi-Fi that has the ability to have interactive conversations with your kids. And I was thinking about this, regardless of whether or not I am for or against the doll, make sure that your child feels seen and heard by you more than your doll, more than their doll, right? So important. I see parents, homeschoolers, public schoolers, friends, family members focus so much on the academics, the grades that their kids are getting, and they either neglect or they don't give enough attention to their attitude, the heart of their kids, and their kids' minds, how they work, how they learn, how they remember. And when you neglect these, your kids are only going to be able to move up academically in these little steps. Oh, they may skip a step or two. They may be further up the staircase. But I've got older kids now, and I have families that we've been coaching for, gosh, a long time, well over 12 years. It's closer to 15 years. And I also have the pleasure of being a tutor for kids that are in the public school system. And so when I'm talking to you about what I see, I'm not just a homeschool mom talking about how great and perfect homeschooling is and everybody's so picture perfect. What I'm telling you is that the difference between kids that have been um, given the unfair advantage because they've been coached about their heart attitude, their heart, their character training, and their attitude is what I meant to say. When they've been coached there, and when they understand how they learn, they understand how they remember things, and they have excellent executive functioning skills, those kids surpass and catapult past their peers. Now, does that mean that they always get the best grades on the tests? No, but it does mean that they are well-rounded, they're kind, they're considerate, they're diligent, they don't quit when things get hard because that character, that grit is built in. One of the homeschooling Olympian moms that we were talking about this, and she said, I just have to say that she said, I myself, she was sharing, went, she said she went very far academically in school and was always on one of those accelerated paths where, you're given all these opportunities to learn these amazing things. She's like, but this is the kind of stuff that I needed to learn. These are the types of things that we need to teach our children because in today's world, it shouldn't be so, but it is. It shouldn't be so, but it is. Kids that are kind, oh, I guess it should be. Kids that are kind, considerate, disciplined, responsible, have grit, they have great attitudes. They understand how their mind works. They know how to learn things. They're interested in learning. And they've made it academically, right? They graduate high school. They graduate from college. They are so far ahead of their peers, it's not even funny. One of my sons, he will remain nameless, but if he watches this, he knows exactly who he is. He's working at a place and he's rocking it, right? He's doing a great job. He's got excellent character. He knows how his mind works. He has high, he's done all the academic things he's supposed to do. And he's at his job and a new person is hired on and the new person looks his boss in the eye and says, "Is it okay if I do nothing?" And he meant it. He meant it. Is it okay that I just stand here and you pay me while I do nothing? It's like, what? How is that even possible? How can you think that way? Your kids, when you focus on their heart and their attitude and their character, and they know how their mind works and they're educated. They know their basic math facts, they know how to read, and they don't just know how to read, they still read when they graduate high school and they love to read, right? So they love reading. They're excellent communicators, both in written and oral form. So you've got this, they have the core of academics well under their belt. But they're excellent people, right? They stick out like sore thumbs. And it shouldn't be so because I think people should be kind. People should have grit. People should be responsible and diligent and not quit when the going gets hard, that they should want to do their best, right? If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. It's worth doing your best. They should want that. But I'm telling you that that is not the way that a vast majority of people are being trained up today. And I say that through eyes of someone that coaches homeschoolers and works with public schoolers. And there is such a deficit in how people focus on education and they neglect the most important thing. Everybody's so focused on the academics. What grade level are my kids? Is this the right curriculum? What are their test scores? That kind of stuff, the academics. This is where the schools in particular get their money. How are the kids academically, right? But they do it at the expense of the heart and the mind of the students. And what ends up happening is the kids only move up in these slow little increments and they get lost along the way. Right around the middle school years, they lose it. They lose their ability to lean into learning because it's too hard. They don't they don't know how to think. and they don't know what to do when life gets tough. So that's my thing, as I'm cleaning up my desk, and I didn't do anything while I was talking to you. So now I'm going to go in just a second. Focus on the heart and the mind, the mindset, the how your child's brain works. How do they learn? How do they learn? How do they learn? Academics equals future hamsters taking few risks. Man, I totally agree with that. Academics have such I could get on such a soapbox about academics, because you have to understand. Now I'm shooting this video from my smartphone. I'm old enough and gray enough to remember the days that computers this powerful were huge. They would take up a whole building, and they weren't even that powerful. Our children, your children, my children, are walking around with supercomputers in their hand, in their pocket, or within arm's reach. What does that mean for academics? It means that anything that they want to learn, they can just ask. They can Google it. They can ask ChatGPT. They can ask Siri. They can ask Alexa. They have information at their fingertips. And yet, the kids today are not very educated. I'm sorry, I'm a tutor, and I can tell you there's a deficit in how kids are being taught. Instead, if kids are taught to love to learn, to love stories, and to understand how their own minds receive information, how do they learn? It's so important that they understand that. When you do that, and when you focus on character training, so that they are kind, they are considerate, they are compassionate, they are hardworking, they are diligent, they are disciplined, they are responsible, they have grit. When you focus on that stuff, oh my goodness, does it set them up for success. So, homeschool mom, homeschool dad, don't let anyone tell you that just because your child is blah blah blah, that you have to focus on a particular set of benchmarks or curriculum. It's really not where it's at. You focus on heart and mindset, and you focus most of the attention there. You don't neglect academics. They are important, but this, and I'm going to say it wrong, but this is more important. You got to focus on the heart and the mindset. And when you do that, you give your kids such an unfair advantage over their peers. You truly will raise exceptional children. So that's it. I'm going to go back to cleaning my desk. Have a great day. See you soon.